What's going on, family? What's going on? What's going down? What's shaking? Welcome to another episode of Super Black Comic Book Reviews by Jonathan Soul. Now, I wanted to talk about a more general topic, something that's been on my mind for a while, and it's about villains. I want to thank all of the comic book creators that I follow and that I've reviewed, because I got books on my shelf I haven't reviewed because, they're the ideas and the so forth they put forth isn't what I want to promote with my show. I want to promote traditional, it's going to sound crazy, traditional comic book values, okay? Now, I got a variety of comic books here. I got kind of like a Wandering Superman comic by Victor Dandridge in the Samaritan, right? Yeah, two books here. This brother, the villain, are different abusive people in the hood, right, in the poor neighborhood. One of them was a drug dealer. One of them was an abusive husband. One of them was a pedophile landlord. Very clear, distinct bad people that needed to be dealt with. I don't want sympathetic villains. That's really this video. You can stop now. That's the gist of it. I don't want sympathetic villains. I don't want villains that, they got a backstory and they were abused and they was fuck that. This is comics. We got that shit in real life. We don't need that. Remember that one of the key components in fiction is escapism. So I want your writing to be good, but I don't want it to be so good that I'm thinking, oh shit, I got to deal with this tomorrow at work. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. So when you guys write, I just want to, these people are doing it, and I just want to encourage the people who are creators that are listening to the show, or people who consume, right? Support the people that got good old fashioned bad guys. I don't want us as a comic book community to start to open up ourselves to the villain. I don't want the lines to be blurred. I can dig an anti-hero. Okay. So for example, somebody might say this guy, the Samaritan, is an anti-hero. Some people, I don't know who, but some people might say this brother here is an anti-hero. This brother right here, he is, he's like a Seminole Indian, like black Indian type person who was accused of a crime he didn't commit. And he's making his way to Canada, making his way up north. And he's killing a lot of oppressors along the way. A lot of oppressors. Okay? So I don't know. Some people might say, well, he's killing folk. That makes him an anti-hero. I don't think so. And that's the beautiful thing. So that's the beautiful thing about black comics. This is a more mature kind of a thing. That's the beautiful thing about black comics. Black indie comics is, at least from what I've seen, and there's a few that do this, but what I've seen is just traditional values that's in it. And that's what we want. We just want good and evil, bangs that pow, kind of a thing. All right. So this is beautiful. There's a lot of violence in this, kind of a thing. But these are against clearly bad people. There's a movie out. I didn't see it, called Joker. So since I didn't see it, I can't really speak on it. But if that character, which we know is a homicidal maniac, I don't care what universe he's in, the Joker is pure evil. If there's a vibration to make these characters sympathetic, I'm not with that. I'm not going to say I'm against that. I'm saying I'm not going to support it. Whether it's going to be in our community or other communities, I'm not with that. Because then that makes us open, I think, in some way. I think there's a link between fiction and nonfiction. I think we need both to get ahead. And I feel like if our fiction is fuzzy on some things, I think that it makes us fuzzy. I know it sounds weird, but that's just the way I think. In this book, Black Sun, by Kelvin Gums, it's a very clear villain here. Very clear bad guy in this thing. As a matter of fact, if where's my other one? I don't know. I won't take it, but it's a very clear bad guy. Very now we got a hero who's on his way to become, you know, competent. He's not there yet, and so we got the hero's journey thing going on here, and then there's a whole group of people and AIs to help him and so forth. But again, there's no confusion. There's a very clear villain and and very clear heroes, and that's what we want. If you're going to give a book to your children, I feel like it should be very clear that, you know, for lack of a better word, certain behaviors are acceptable or not acceptable, kind of a thing. In this book, Purge, there's like two layers of villainy here. There's one where it's like a system or it's an apparatus that kidnapped him when he was a kid, and he's trying to figure out what was taken from him in terms of his memory and the work that was done to him. So that's like a kind of a villain in the shadows, right? And then, you know, when I say the shadows, I mean institutions. You feel me? You know what I mean? Whether it be the police institution or whether it be evil, mad scientist institutions, those kind of things. And then, of course, we have the more simple villains that he fights, you know, kinetically, right? So we got the bad guys that we're fighting and so forth like that. And by the way, this is a terrific book for your, I would say, older kids, 10 years old, 11, 12 and up. It's not too violent, but the artwork is popping. You know what I mean? It looks just as good on paper as it does on the iPad. And then this is another one of those books where if you're an adult, you can sit down and you can pick out the Easter eggs. Like, I don't know if y'all can see this, but it says John Kennedy's Executive Order 11110. What's that? June 4th, 19. I can't read it. My eyes. But basically, that's the executive order that Kennedy was planning to pass, where he would have the Federal Reserve start to make money, and we have the U.S. Treasury start to make money again, and not borrow money from the Federal Reserve, which is not a federal institution at all, it's a private bank. So, you know, so those kind of things, you know, if parents would dig it. If you're a history buff or whatever, you know, you would dig these kind of things, but very clear villains. There's no sympathetic, oh, he killed those people because he had a badge. No. This is a more like a slice of life, traditional hero kind of villain, kind of you know, hero story in Brother Man Revelation. So this is like the prequel. And so we early in the book, we get introduced, you know, just sketches to a villain named Floor Flusher, which is a terrific name. Floor Flusher. I'm trying to find it. So Floor Flusher, Emmett Floor Flusher, let's see, was ravenously promoted by the criminal businessman politician Floor Flusher. So basically, Floor Flusher was responsible for building the projects. You know, when you know, Valor's father was trying to get affordable housing, you know, they did some technology with the city and stuff and started building projects and so forth. A very clear villain. Okay. You know, you guys got to get this book if you haven't got it already. And look at this. This is like a target, you know, it's bomb material and everything. And they got Valor's father. Very clear villain. I think it's important because all art is propaganda. That's number one. And I'll try to keep this short. All art is propaganda. And so if you're going to have propaganda, it should be propagandizing the values that you espouse. And that's why I say you should have very clear distinction between your villains and your heroes, because we don't want to kind of grow children up in some kind of moral ambiguity, because they need that foundation early. Now, once they become an adult, they may take our values and tweak them, or they may toss them aside, but you got to give them that value set early on. Don't believe that other culture bullshit about letting kids decide. You know, you don't let them vote, but you're going to let them decide other things that are more important. So don't do that. You give your kids very clear values early in the game, especially, you know, obviously in nonfiction, but especially fiction. All right, that's it. Love you guys. Hope all your dreams come true. JonathanSoul.com. I'll come back with more interviews with artists and writers and creators in this comic book space. And you can go to johnthesoul.com to see my other stuff. I have a show called Nonfiction where I talk about news, and you can see my other commentaries and your reviews and so forth. You can see it on johnthesoul.com. You can see it on Black Junction, and you can see it on YouTube. All right? Love you guys. Hope all your dreams come true. Peace.